Okay, so what we're going to be working on today is real-time physics inside of Max, and creating essentially like a small mini golf type course to where you have a ball and it's going to get hit, rolled, knocked all over the place, and then hopefully land in a cup at the end, and we'll see what happens. So, a couple of things we have to do. First is we need to go ahead and turn on our Mass FX tools. I'm using Max 2017, but it really doesn't matter. It should be the same. So up here in empty space, I'm going to right click. I'm just going to choose Mass FX Toolbar. That's going to pop up right there. And then you can dock it if you want to. So it's sitting there. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go to Animation. And then I'm going to go to Mass Effects, Utilities, Show Mass Effects Tools. So these are them. And you can dock that as well if you want to. Kind of entirely up to you. Alright, so now let's start using some stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a floor. So there's my floor, and then I'm going to make a couple things that I can have interact with my physics. So I'm going to move that up. I'm going to go ahead and make all of these the same size. Just so I know how my physics are going to operate. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate these. Six across, I'm going to select those again. Okay. Now I'm going to select all of them and make a couple of rows here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so a couple things that we can look at in as far as dynamics go. We have a couple different versions. We have kinematic dynamics, which are keyframed objects that are allowed to interact with dynamic objects. You have dynamic objects, which are just rigid bodies that will bounce and fall and behave. Then you have static rigid bodies, which won't move. Okay, so they're just there to be used essentially as walls, as floors, and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and make a selection set real quick of these boxes. So I'm going to select all the boxes, and if you accidentally select the floor, just hold Alt and click it, and that'll get rid of it. Then up here, I'm going to type boxes. So now, if I drop it down, I can always just pick boxes, and it will select my boxes for me. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is select the floor, and I'm going to click and hold, and choose Set Selected as Static Rigid Body. Okay, so now this is going to be used essentially just as a floor. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and scale it up a bit to show you one thing that you're going to have to do. So now that I scaled it up, if you notice, the dynamic box is actually smaller, right? It's not following that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here to my rigid body properties, and where it says mesh type box, I'm going to choose original, and that's going to make it the same size as everything else. Okay. So now I'm going to choose my boxes drop down selection. I'm going to make these dynamic rigid bodies. Okay. So what's going to happen now is if I simulate this, boop, they all just fall on top of each other, no problem. Perfect. Okay. So now let's go ahead and introduce something that I can clobber with. So I'm just going to pick a sphere, put it right there. Okay. So it's going to go through them pretty well, I think. Okay. So I'm going to turn on auto key real fast, and then I'm going to, actually before I do that, I'm going to change this to a kinematic rigid body. That way it knows that I want it to interact with these objects. Then we go to frame 30, we'll go to frame 45, actually 45. Drag it through them, it's automatically going to make that for me. Perfect, no problem. Can turn that off. And now if I hit simulate, check this out. Plows right through them, right? Pretty cool. Okay, so always make sure to reset the simulation. And there's a couple of really cool things we can do with these objects, okay? So if I come in here and go back to my boxes, you can see we have some preset physical materials. So those were the default. I can say I would like it to be instead concrete. Right, so now if I hit play, they're going to act quite a bit heavier. They don't bounce as far, they don't go as far, any of that stuff. We could also use like steel. We could use cardboard. Right, so you can see they're all behaving a little bit differently. Okay, now we have something that we can add called forces. So if I click in here and then go to my little space warps, there's something called a P-bomb. So I'm going to click and drag out my P-bomb. I'm going to kind of move it so it's under those. So I'm going to go into my modify. I'm going to say I would like this to blow up after the boxes, actually maybe right when the boxes are getting hit. So frame 28, I'm going to have it blow up, and I'm going to give it a strength value of 3, just to see what it does. Okay, so if I go ahead and hit simulate, excuse me, nothing happens, right? Okay, well, how do we fix this? Well, we need to tell the dynamics that it's actually going to behave with the box, right? So if I click on the boxes, we have something called forces. So I'm going to go add force. And then I'm just going to simply choose that P-bomb. Okay, and now we can hit simulate. And, well, it actually blew up right when I got hit, looks like. So let's edit that P-bomb a little bit. I'm going to have it go off at 15 with a strength of 15. Okay. Boom. So you can see the P-bomb hit it first, so the ball like pretty much almost missed all of them. Right? Like the ball barely goes through them, which is pretty cool. So that's a real basic idea of dynamics and how they work inside of Max. So you're going to be creating essentially a golf course. So we're going to make one today in class as well. Just so you can kind of see what I'm thinking. And these are going to be due Thursday at the end of class. All right.